everybody, it is Pat from the Recaps. I'm the voice behind 99% of what you'll find on my channel. Hopefully you guys have checked out my top movies of 2023, and if you haven't, I'll put a tab in one of the corners up here that can click over there. And now we're going to discuss the worst movies I saw in 2023. So real quick, the way I do this is in the description of this video, you will see 91 movies listed in an order that is simply the order that I saw these movies in. Nothing more than that. If there's an asterisk, it just means that I saw it in theaters. And if it's an asterisk plus, it just means that I didn't pay for it. That's just kind of something, I'm a nerd, so I like to keep track of that thing. But the way I've always worked this is, if I've never seen a movie before, it goes on the list. Years ago, I got sick of the Oscars rolling around. There'd be a movie on there, or 2 or 3 or 10, that I absolutely hated with an unhealthy passion. I would rant about it, and then somebody would say, well, all right, well, then what's the best movie of the year? And I never really had an answer for him. So for 8 years now I've been doing just keeping track of it like this, and it's worked. But this is always one of my most fun videos to make, was the worst movies, because I feel like I am suffering through these movies, and I am doing a PSA, a public service, for you guys to stay far away from these movies. So out of the 91, these are the worst movies I saw in 2023. And we'll start out with honorable mentions. All right, these are the movies that I just quickly wrote down. Yes, this movie sucked, this movie sucked, this movie sucked. Then from there, I kind of whittle it down to a list of a hard 5. The honorable mentions that I'll start out with is first one, 80 for Brady. Oh, man, I was in a football mood when I saw this movie. I'm from Philly. It was a week before the Super Bowl, week before the Eagles blew a 10-point lead. So, yeah, hit thumbs down for that. But not that I expected this movie to be remotely entertaining or good. Rita Moreno, Sally Fields, a couple other women were in that movie, and it's just horrible. And it's horrible because I'm a football fan, all right? I'm a diehard sports fan. I work in sports media. So for me, the movie was so incredibly bad. But it wasn't made for me, and I recognize that. This movie was made around it comes out Super Bowl weekend, and it's for couples. It's for the woman to convince the guy, oh yeah, it's about Tom Brady, and it's about, these women that want to go see Tom Brady. Come on, and it's a date night movie. It's not made for me going by myself to go see 80 for Brady and think that I'm going to get some hard-hitting football movie. But I can't change who I am, and I can't change how I feel, and it was just painful to watch as a football fan because it was just absolutely so ridiculous. If you're not a football fan, you might actually find some enjoyment in it, but I am a football fan, so I didn't find any enjoyment in it. A Murder Mystery 2. I like the first Murder Mystery. Adam Sandler, Jennifer Aniston, and I was really entertained by the first one. I thought it was hilarious. The second one, they had nothing. I mean, they had absolutely nothing. There wasn't a laugh to be found in this movie, and it was just painful to get through and painful to watch. I really hope that Adam Sandler doesn't make another Murder Mystery 3. I feel like he probably will because he has that deal with Netflix. But Murder Mystery 2, if you like the first one, don't get roped into the second one. Don't think, oh, well, the first one was funny. This one will be. It won't be. It just will not be. All right, the next movie that I'll talk about is a Gerard Butler movie called Kandahar. Gerard Butler's kind of become I'll say like a Keanu Reeves mixed with a Nick Cage, in the sense where he puts out a lot of movies, and most of them are action movies, but they're not all that great anymore. And every once in a while, you will have a good one. Greenland a couple years ago was actually surprisingly very good, but Kandahar is just bad. It's a lazy D-list action movie, and it wasn't all that good, and the action wasn't that great, and the plot line was very, very subpar. If you see Kandahar and you're like, well, I like Gerard Butler from 300, and he's been in a couple other things that I liked, just hard pass. The next one is a movie that I probably would have liked if I were on drugs, and that is Cocaine Bear. And I don't say that just because it's called Cocaine Bear, but I think if I was blazed out of my gourd and I had seen this in theaters with some friends, maybe I would have gotten some chuckles. I saw it sober, by myself. There were no chuckles. It was just a bad movie, and I wasn't all that entertained. And for some people out there, you'll go, what do you expect? It's called Cocaine Bear. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right on that, but when you see 91 movies, you're going to mix in some crap in there, and I heard mixed things about Cocaine Bear, so I tried it out, and it turns out cocaine is not for me, and neither is Cocaine Bear. Peter Pan and Wendy was, I don't like to say where these movies are So that's the whole point of the video. You don't watch them, but it's on one of the streaming services. And I thought, okay, you know, I tend to like movies like this. You know, maybe it'll give me some backstory into the characters, maybe a prequel here and there. No, it's just bad. It's boring and bad and horrible. And it's not like I'm the biggest Peter Pan fan in the world, but I've liked movies in the same essence before, but this is just horrible. So Peter Pan and Wendy, skip it bad. The next movie that I'll talk about on an honorable mention list is a prime example that sometimes incredible feats do not equal incredible entertainment, and it is a Naiad. It is the story of Diana Naiad, who, if you're unaware, she had an unbelievable feat. She was like 65 years old, and she swam from Cuba to Florida. First person ever do it. And she had tried it 8 times, but she failed 8. It was like, all right, it was like 6 or 7 times. But finally, she ended up doing the job, getting it done. Problem is, this movie became extremely repetitive, because you know how it's going to end. They're not going to make a movie about somebody failing 10 times and just going, all right, it's not in the cards. So by the 3rd time she's out there swimming along, you're like, can we just speed this up? Like, can we just speed it up to the last one? And they don't do that because of accuracy. So they show you all 6 or 7 failed attempts. And it's like, enough. So in terms of like swim movies, this is far down there. Far down. There was actually a movie on Netflix a couple years ago that was decent about true story, same thing as Naiad, about these 2 Syrian sisters who ended up going to Germany and hooking up with a coach, a swim coach, and ended up getting into the Olympics. That's like the #1 swim movie. And then you get the movie Pride, and then way down on the list, there's Swim Fan, and then I'd put Naiad a little bit behind Swim Fan. It's just not entertaining at all. And I'm weird. I like to go into movies and be entertained. I'm not looking for all that foo-foo fluff that, the USC film students and NYU film students like. I need a plot, I need a story, I need entertainment. This didn't have it. Neither did the next movie I'll talk about, which was Teacher's Lounge. I saw Teacher's Lounge at the Philadelphia Film Festival. I go into as many movies as I can knowing nothing about them. So if I can go to a movie avoiding a trailer, avoiding reading a description on IMDb, if I can go into a movie just watching the movie poster, that's my golden situation, because I want to go in as clear-minded as possible and having no preconceived notion into the movie. And I didn't know anything about Teacher's Lounge. It was the Philly Film Festival, and I thought, okay, I got nothing to do, and all I knew was it was a German movie, and I'd probably have to read. And I'm fine with that, okay, because I can read. But this movie's getting rave reviews from critics, and I can't quite figure out why. It's a story about a teacher who kind of she's a little too involved. It's a little bit too much of a try-hard, and the trickle-down effect of what happens because of that. But it's not good. I mean, it's not entertaining. And you're sitting there going like, all right, what's the point of this? Where's this going? It turns out it goes nowhere. So if you see Teacher's Lounge and you see, oh my God, well, it was nominated and it's getting rewards and great reviews. No. Those people, ignore those critics. Ignore them. Next movie was just a lazy movie, but it had a lot of stars in it. So I thought, okay, well, if everybody signed on, maybe it's not that bad. Operation Fortune. Now, this is a movie that didn't come out in 2023, and you'll notice that about my list. It is 91 movies. Some of these didn't come out in 2023, but if I've never seen it before, it goes on the list. Operation Fortune is just, it's the poor man's Mission Impossible, without Ethan Hunt and without really cool like fight scenes and action scenes, and it's just very, very mediocre and mid. Jason Statham, Josh Hartnett, Hugh Grant, Aubrey Plaza, pass. I don't know why they made it. It's just very, very boring. And the next movie I'll talk about is a movie that some people might be surprised that didn't make my top 5, Aquaman 2. The reason why it didn't make my top 5 is because I went into this with the lowest expectations possible after watching Aquaman 1. I'm pretty sure Aquaman 1 was either my 1 or 2 worst movie of the year I saw it. So I went in going like, man, I'm gonna hate watch the hell out of this movie. And it's really, really bad. Yet I think I still liked it better than Aquaman 1. Because at least with this one, there were enough scenes in it that were so cheesy they were good. There were a lot of scenes that weren't meant to be funny, but the entire theater was cracking up while watching this movie. And you understand pretty quickly why there were so many rewrites and why this movie took 5 years to just finally come out. It got finished a while ago, but they had rewrites and reshoots. And that's because this movie is dog shit. It's dog shit, yeah. All right, and then these movies coming up, I'll talk about as we're like just on the outside of making my top 5. I really fought with these ones. Fall. I had actually heard good things about Fall, and it's a Blumhouse movie, and Blumhouse is the king of making low budget movies that make a lot of money. The risk reward is there for them. I mean, $5 million budget. It's not really hard to make that much money back. But I had heard good things about Fall, and when I saw the trailer, I went, "This movie's gonna be bad." But I got sucked in to those recommendations, and it turns out that a movie about 2 girls who climb a radio tower and get stuck for an hour and a half is a bad movie. It's just not good. And it made me wish that I was on that radio tower just so I could jump off and be saved. Because when a movie's only an hour and a half and you're sitting there checking multiple times to see how much longer you have in the movie, that's a really, really bad sign. I'm sitting there watching Oppenheimer and I'm like dialed in the entire movie. And this movie is half that. And 45 minutes in, I'm like, is this shit almost over? So yeah, skip Fall if you see it. It's horrible. Next movie is The Last Voyage of the Demeter. Same as Fall, where it's only an hour and a half. Repetitive as hell. And just not good. They set this movie up to have a sequel. I pray to God they don't make it. It came out late August, so I can't imagine it made a lot of money. But it's just boring. It's like, partly because you kind of know exactly where it's going. You know what's going to happen. But how it gets there is just not really all that great. For me, this was a really, really, really bad movie. Really bad horror movie. And then the last one, this would have been my number 6 movie on my list. And it is probably the movie I'm most passionate about in 2023 because of the fact that every critic is just getting on their hands and knees to praise this absolute piece of shit. And it's Iron Claw. Now, I have theories on why this movie is getting praised, but if you're unaware, Iron Claw is the true story of the Von Erich family. It's one of wrestling's premier families of the industry, but they were struck by tragedy after tragedy after tragedy after tragedy. So I went to a press screening of this movie, and a press screening is like just press, and there's probably 15 of us. And when this movie starts out with the A24 logo, I saw press members grab the lotion bottle, and they put it there. And then when it starts out in black and white, they grabbed the tissue box, and their mind was made up at that point. But this movie for me was made for me because it's about wrestling and the industry, which I find fascinating. I'm not a huge wrestling fan anymore. I was when I was a kid, but the industry I've always found fascinating. And I love sports, so it's a sports movie. But it's also based on a true story, and I will pretty much see anything based on a true story. So I was really excited to see this movie. I had skipped trailers, but I was pumped to see this movie, and I was well aware of the storyline and well aware of what happened, and I knew where it was going and all that. But my big problem with a lot of critics is I feel like a lot of times they can't separate really, really good acting and things like I mentioned, black and white, based on a true story. I mean, the A24 logo, critics just love A24. And most of their stuff is good, in fairness. But they can't separate that from, okay, was it a bad movie? And for me, I came out of that press screening and I was a little sheepish because I knew that I was going to be the only person in that theater that didn't like it. And the person from the marketing company finally turned to me and goes, "Oh, what'd you think?" And I went, "What an absolute fucking piece of shit." And I'm very dry with my sense of humor, so she goes, "I can't tell if you're joking." I go, "No, I'm dead serious." That movie looked like it was made for a TV special, made for Saturday night, on ABC. It was horribly done. I mean, the director should never be allowed behind a camera again. It's capped off by an incredibly bad Ric Flair impersonator. That was not needed and cheesy. And, I understand that this movie is getting love from the wrestling community. Well, think about it. That's an untapped niche. Their demographic hasn't been fed since Ready to Rumble? Movies don't get made about pro wrestling. So, of course, they're going to love it. And then the critics love it because it's, as I said, A24 and black and white, and it's well acted. Like, look, every award that it's up for, pretty much they deserve. Like, the acting wise, it was great. I mean, Zac Efron crushed it. I think Jeremy Allen White's getting a little too much praise for it because he wasn't really in it all that much. But yeah, he was great. He was fine. I actually thought the second brother, the first one that has tragedy strike him in the movie, I thought he was better. I thought he deserves a lot of praise. But in terms of the movie being made, horrible. And it's cheesy. And, there's this one scene where, all the brothers are wrestling and they mend all the face. It was bad. And I don't understand why this movie is just getting the love affair and the outpouring that it is, because at the end of the day, it was atrocious. And I'm somebody that was looking forward to it. And boy, did it let me down. So that's my honorable mention list, and you might be thinking, well, why didn't it make your top 5? Because it did have some positive. It did have some redeeming qualities. It was based on a true story. And there was good acting. So, initially it wasn't my top 5, but I took it out. I took it out for these top 5 movies, the worst movies that I saw out of the 91, and these were it. Number 5, we start out with the movie Inside. Folks, I was going through it when I saw Inside. I was 4 days removed from the Eagles losing the Super Bowl, blowing a 10-point lead. I needed a distraction, and Willem Dafoe did not give it to me. I can't even say this movie was well acted, because Willem Dafoe didn't do anything but sweat and get hungry in this movie. It is a movie about a guy who is a robber who gets stuck and locked in a penthouse apartment that he's trying to rob, and he's trying to get out. And that is it. And I felt like I was stuck inside that theater for about 2 hours, because it is not remotely entertaining. There is nothing to this movie. He is stuck. That is it. And he's just trying to get out. And this is the downside of going into a movie and not knowing anything about it, because all I knew was Willem Dafoe, and it's called Inside, and that's it. Saw the trailer, or saw the poster for it, but I didn't see a trailer, didn't read a description. Sometimes you get burned. Inside was that for me. Really, really bad movie, and just horrible, horrible experience. Did not distract me at all. Actually made me want to go back and watch my team lose the Super Bowl on a slippery turf. Number 4, this is another movie that's getting absolute rave reviews from critics, and I am very confused as to why. Netflix's May December. What to say about this one? So first of all, I recently saw that it got a Critics' Choice Award for most creative screenplay or screen adaptation, or no, it was like most creative script or something. Creative. How is this movie remotely creative? First of all, it looks like it is a cheesy Lifetime original movie from 1997. It is paced as such. It is made as such. The music, the camera angles, the close-up shots. It's cheesy. The definition of cheesy. And then on top of it, creative, it's literally the story of Mary Kay Letourneau, who, if you're unfamiliar, was a teacher that just took the world by storm, or took the country by storm, because back in the late 90s, she got caught having sex with her 14-year-old student, and they ended up getting married. And they were married up until she died. But it's that story. Like, it's literally the Mary Kay Letourneau story. All you're doing is adding an actress in Natalie Portman, who is portraying, in this case, Mary Kay Letourneau, or Julia, I forget her name. So hit thumbs down for that. But that is all this movie is. And it's not good. And there is no ending to it. And it's just painful to get through. It's not a good uncomfortableness. Saltburn was a good uncomfortableness. This is like, what is so great about May December? And even the name is just dumb. And I know there's probably a meaning for it, and somebody will write it in the comment section. This movie blew. And I cannot understand how people are watching this and going, yeah, this is great. This is phenomenal. And I do think that part of the issue with some of these movies, and especially my number 1 movie, is there is a sense of The Emperor Has No Clothes, where I think when the initial reviews come out, and there's like an outpouring of support for a movie, and there's just like nothing but rave reviews, and it's at 98, 99, 100% Rotten Tomatoes. Nobody wants to be the critic to go, oh yeah, that movie sucked, because then all the other critics are looking at you like, really? And that literally happened to me at the screening of Iron Claw. When I was giving my reaction to it to the marketing person who's paid to take the reactions, I got one slapdick critic next to me going, well, where can I find your review at? Like, all condescendingly. And it's like, dude, go pound sand, all right? We're not that important. We watch movies for a living. We give our opinion. Mine is this movie sucked. All right, yours is everything A24 does is good. I think there is a large portion of critics that fall into The Emperor Has No Clothes, and they're sitting there going, what a great suit. And then I'm sitting there going, that movie sucked. And for May December, I do feel like probably fell into that. The acting was good. Once again, critics can't differentiate between a well-acted movie that's a piece of shit. If it's well-acted, most critics go, oh my God, it's well-acted. It's amazing. Now, this movie was horrible. Number 3 was not a movie from 2023. It was a movie from 2019. Was Buddy Games. I'm a big fan of Entourage. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. And I got roped into the Entourage podcast, and I started from the first episode of the podcast. And one of the actors in Entourage is Kevin Dillon, who ended up being in Buddy Games. He's talking in the podcast about doing buddy games, and next thing you know, a couple more episodes go on, and he goes, yeah, we're working on buddy games too. And I had buddy games in my digital library, and I was like, all right, I'll check it out one night. I could go for a comedy. Oh my God, this movie's bad. And this movie came out at a perfect time because it came out when the country was shut down with COVID, and people are willing to watch anything. And it's got Josh Duhamel, and it's got Kevin Dillon in it. It's got Nick, not Kroll. Like actors you recognize, and so it's like, okay, I'll watch it, I'll check it out, and that's probably why it did so well on digital. But this movie is like grown-ups, but to a douchey level. It's Josh Duhamel hanging out with his buddies, and it's not good. Olivia Munn, why did you sign on for this? I know that Josh Duhamel is incredibly handsome, but come on, girl, like be better. Buddy Games was just, there isn't a laugh to be seen in this movie. I couldn't wait for it to be over. Number 2 movie, another movie that didn't come out in 2023, but I got roped into it this year, was Under the Silver Lake. Late at night, Saturday. All right, I like Andrew Garfield. Who doesn't? All right, I'll watch this movie. It was really, 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 really bad. I don't know why he did this to himself. It's supposed to be this like noirish, mystery. I equated it on my live chat to a cheesy, bad version of like an Eyes Wide Shut-ish. And I didn't really like Eyes Wide Shut. I mean, take the orgies out of it, but it was like this like undergroundish society. It looked like the director and the writer tried to make a movie where they were trying to look intelligent and they looked like idiots. And this movie was just bad from beginning until end. And finally, my number 1 movie of the year. A movie that I went into knowing nothing about it. Clean slate. All right. I knew the name of it. I saw the poster. That was it. That's all I knew about this movie. Went in with no preconceived notions. Anatomy of a Fall. A movie that is getting absolutely rave reviews. A movie that has won awards at multiple film festivals. A movie that will likely be nominated for an Oscar for Best International Film. Horrible. Horrible. Now, my number 1 worst movie, I believe, of last year was Tar. I thought it was incredibly bad, incredibly boring, and all that, right? Now, Tar starts out with a song being sung in Mandarin, and it's really, really bad. And I remember saying, that should have been my cue to leave. For Anatomy of a Fall, my cue to leave should have been when the movie starts out with about a 10-minute instrumental that is blasting of a Caribbean version of Jay-Z's P.I.M.P. So take P.I.M.P., take the instrumental, and then turn it Caribbean, and you get that for about 10 minutes. This movie is literally about a guy who falls out of a roof, or falls out of like the top story of his house. He dies, and then it's all, well, did he commit suicide, or was he pushed by his wife because there were issues? And they make both sides of the case, but like 2.5 hours, no resolution. I mean, it was incredibly boring. And it wasn't entertaining. Like, I don't know why. Once again, like most of these movies, I don't know why this movie's getting so much praise. And I know because it won one film festival, it's got to win multiple, right? And you got to add on to it. But at the end of the day, it's like 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 40, and it just dragged like crazy. And I think a lot of the everyman audience that I think I'm a part of will come out of this going like, where's the plot? Where's the entertainment? Where's the enjoyment? And I'll tell you, it's just an spoiler alert. I'm not going to just tell you exactly what happens, but there's no ending to it. There's nothing. You don't get resolution. You don't get answers. You don't like. If I'm sitting in a movie for 2 hours and 40 minutes, write an ending. Don't leave it up to me. The dude who's like sneaking in, bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches because I'm the bad boy of cinema. Like, give me an ending. This didn't do that. So, it was really bad, and I can't believe it's getting the praise it is. But there you have it. Honorable mention list: 80 for Brady, Fall, Murder Mystery 2, Kandahar, Cocaine Bear, Peter Pan and Wendy, Last Voyage of the Demeter, Naiad, Teacher's Lounge, Iron Claw, Operation Fortune, and Aquaman 2. And once again, for the top 5 worst movies of the year, the movies that you should avoid at all costs are Inside, May, December, Buddy Games, Under the Silver Lake, and Anatomy of a Fall. thank you so much for checking this out. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate everybody that watches my content, and it's very humbling because I don't like listening to my own voice. So the fact that people end up doing that is very humbling. And if you take my reviews and use them, I appreciate it. And if you use them in the reverse order of like, oh, he thinks it's bad, well, then I'll watch it because his opinion sucks. I appreciate that too. Any like super comments, donations, those are cool because I got a 7-month-old and diapers are expensive, so I'm not too proud to get on that pole and beg. But everything's appreciated, truly. Whether you agree with me or not, if you've subscribed, watch my stuff, just that's cool. And if you haven't done any of that, and if you consider subscribing to the channel, that'd be awesome. And if you liked what you saw, hit thumbs up. And if you don't, smash that thumbs down button. All right, smash it. I mean, hit it so hard, you're breaking your keyboard. But I appreciate you guys checking this out, and I'll talk to you in a year.